Hello and welcome to the Weird Around Illinois podcast. Today we're going to talk to you about a recent expedition we went on to explore Busse Woods and Busse Lake. Let's get weird. First, we should probably talk about the history of this surrounding area, being Elk Grove Village. We've done investigations there before, looking for dogman predominantly, but there have been a lot of sightings in that area.
Yeah, I mean, once more, dogman is like the main thing around Elk Grove. Our first ever podcast was about Elk Grove. You go watch that video if you want to. We just mainly went over a few spots before.
Right along Salt Creek, I think most of the investigations were.
Right. That's
where a lot of the sightings were clustered.
But then there was also mothman and UFO sightings. So you said before that it's just mainly because O'Hare is nearby.
Yeah, Elk Grove is one of the towns that borders on O'Hare Airport, and it seems like O'Hare is just a center of mothman and UFO sightings lately.
Yeah, it's an area of chaos, so there's just about everything.
Then there was the one combined sighting, the mothman dogman being. Do you remember that from Scary Stories NYC?
Yeah, it was in a cemetery.
Yeah, I think it was Elk Grove Cemetery. It was like in a tree, and it looked like a mothman, except it had like a dog snout on it, and it was pretty terrifying. When we did our podcasts, and I think we did two on Elk Grove Village, we actually went back for a second expedition after the first one. We had a number of comments from listeners, and one of them was, you guys should try fishing in Busse Lake at night. And we love a challenge, so we weren't going to back down. We decided we were going to go fishing in Busse Lake at night, and that's what we did. So we got there probably an hour or so before dark, so we had some time to kind of get settled in and do some fishing. We do love to fish, almost as much as we love to look for cryptids, so we were kind of excited about that portion of it too.
When we started fishing, we didn't catch anything. To sum it up, we were there. We were fishing for probably one and a half hours, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's people that might go fishing much longer than that, but you'd at least catch one fish, right?
Or a good solid bite.
Yeah. Which I think a few of us kind of did, but aside from that, just nothing. Yeah,
that was the deadest lake I think I've ever fished in. It felt like fishing in a bathtub. It was, a lot of times when I'm fishing, even if the fish aren't biting, I can see them swimming around, or I feel a bite every 3 or 4 casts, and I'm thinking, okay, well, they're out there. I just got to, change baits, or I got to be a little quicker to jerk or something like that. But no, there was never a moment where I thought maybe I might catch a fish.
I also have to add that the sunset that was like right in front of us was absolutely beautiful. I got a couple pictures of which will be on screen. Very nice.
Yeah. Beautiful lake.
Yeah. And I remember we eventually found like a nice set of rocks where there weren't like many weeds around or much seaweed. So we thought for sure we'd be able to get a fish. There wasn't much in our way. We still didn't find anything.
Now, our other reason for choosing that spot is we were really close to a stretch of woods there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of weird the way it was laid out. I always assumed that Busse Lake was a lake kind of surrounded on all sides by Busse Woods. But that's not really how it looked.
Yeah, I mean, it was just some kind of almost a line of woods just behind the lake. And it wasn't even that thick of woods. It was thin from where we were. Yeah. There's only like one segment that was much thicker.
Yeah, it really made me rethink some of my dogman theories, because I was trying to figure out how a dogman could move through woods that thin in such a populated area and not be sighted. I really thought it was much thicker than that, and maybe other portions of Busse Woods are. Maybe it's just the part by the lake that are really thin, but it really kind of messed with my theory.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people around.
Yeah,
especially like the picnics. We thankfully passed by a lot of them. So we weren't fishing next to them, but there were so many people like walking and biking. It'd be hard to imagine a dogman just hanging around.
Yeah, and they were coming in and out of the woods and going around the lake, and they were everywhere.
Yeah, it was way too populated.
We're gonna have to rethink that whole Busse Woods, Busse Lake, Elk Grove Village thing based on just the visit to the lake. After we visited the lake, we stayed till a little bit after dark, and then we decided to go out walking around a little bit. And we walked through some of those little narrow stretches of woods that we talked about. Didn't see much. I mean, I had the night vision camera going the whole time. I haven't reviewed all the footage yet, so maybe there's something on there that I missed. For the bulk of the walk, I really don't remember seeing or hearing much of anything.
Me neither.
Yeah, but then we came to the end of it, and you and I both noticed something at the end there. It was like simultaneous. We both like suddenly stare hard into the woods. Because it was kind of that Finding Bigfoot moment again. There's something on the hill!
Yeah.
Something was moving through the woods, and it was big, and it sounded like it was moving with us as we moved the last several steps as we reached the end of that thin stretch of woods. I stopped and immediately started taking night vision video of everything in the area, and I remember, saying, "Did you guys hear that?" And you said no, and you said yes.
Yeah, while that was happening, like kind of behind me, I was absolutely clueless of what was going on. I was just strolling down the path.
And while we were looking at it, I saw something on my night vision camera that gave me that, okay, this is it moment. I saw what looked like a goblin or a mini Mothman or something on a tree limb, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And then I stared at it harder, and I'm like, oh, that's just leaves.
It's the leaf man.
Yeah. But the reason I mention it is because I was discussing it with one of our listeners who I actually know in person, and they brought up a really, really interesting point. They said, how do you know for sure that wasn't something, and that through these strange powers that cryptids have, that it didn't activate that filter in your brain to say, nope, that's just leaves?
We have been talking about that a lot, so
Yeah.
some kind of being that is more intelligent than us is able to change the way we see them.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to take another look at that raw video and maybe show it to a kid or something who doesn't have that filter, and see what they see. But I really thought that was an interesting point, because I was ready to just toss that out as it was just leaves, my imagination running wild, mind playing tricks on me. But can we really trust our minds when we're out on these hunts?
Probably not. At the time, it was still getting really dark, so it's when we can't see things very well. So if you saw a leaf, it might have been a leaf. If it wasn't, that would also be likely as well, because we really can't tell much.
Yeah, it was such a weird configuration, because it was what my filter is telling me it was a tree branch hanging down from another branch, like broken. But it was shaped in such a way that it looked like it had arms, legs, and a head. Really cool looking branch if it was just a branch, but was it just a branch?
Was it moving?
No.
Okay, so it's just completely still.
Mm-hmm.
Was it windy at the time?
I don't think so.
Okay, then.
After we finished that little investigation, we decided we still had some time left and wanted to look around a little bit, so we returned to a place we'd been before, Elk Grove Cemetery.
Yeah. It was that one cemetery that we mentioned earlier that had like the Mothman, Dogman combination.
Mm-hmm.
We looked up in the trees, and we looked everywhere around the cemetery, and we just didn't see anything again.
And I think I did the spirit box there, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's coming back to me now. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And I remember, basically asking if our presence there was bothering the spirits, and I got a lot of negative responses.
Yes.
It was like, I'm not an expert at using the spirit box, but every little snippet that I was getting sounded like it was angry and telling us to leave.
Yeah, a few times we thought we heard a yes, like Do you want us to leave? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except I don't really believe that part because it was just like little clips of people talking in the radio station, so I don't think that was anything personally.
Yeah, you're probably right, but it was interesting. It was our first time using that Spirit Box app thing, and I was just happy to hear anything.
Yeah, and you connected it like through Bluetooth, so we could hear it like in the car speakers.
Yeah,
I called it like the fanciest Spirit Box you can have.
yeah, it was pretty powerful.
But yeah, that cemetery was around a highway, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard to even hear the Spirit Box. The highway was so loud.
We ended up going in the car because we couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. There was one kind of postscript to this adventure that I felt was worth mentioning. I talked to a friend of mine who's a police officer who actually patrols in that area sometimes. And I told him basically everything that we've told you today. And when I got to the part about the thing following us in Busse Woods, I said, yeah, maybe it was a dogman. And I was expecting him to laugh, and he didn't. He was dead serious, and he said, yeah, could have been. There's some strange things in Busse Woods. And I asked him to elaborate, and he wouldn't. He just said, there's some strange things in Busse Woods.
Huh. So is he keeping some kind of sighting that he had?
It's possible. He's probably heard some stories from other officers. He hasn't been on the force a long time, so I don't know how much opportunities he's had to explore those woods himself, but I'm sure his fellow officers have talked to him. I was all set to write this one off. Write off the entire Elk Grove, Busse Woods, Salt Creek area until that conversation. And now I've got to keep it on the back burner again and think maybe there's something else we need to do out there.
Yeah, I don't know what we could have done though, because it was so populated. There were people walking by us as we were going through the path.
Yeah.
It wasn't thick enough forest.
No, not by the lake anyway. Maybe we need to explore one of the other parts of Busse Woods.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I feel like there was so much like woods that we just didn't explore really. We're just in like little stretches of it.
Maybe.
And maybe we need to get a section closer to Salt Creek, since Salt Creek is where a lot of the dogman sightings took place. We'll have to study our maps and see what we can come up with. But I think you'll be hearing more about Elk Grove Village and Busse Woods in the future from us.
Yeah.
So if any of you have any stories to share about Busse Woods or Elk Grove Village or Dogman or cryptids in general, we're here for you. By all means, leave a comment, fill out our anonymous comment form, or feel free to subscribe to our newsletter as well. And thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing.